Africa has always had a special fascination for me. Its people, its many different cultures, its language, its music. It's always had a huge draw to me ever since I was very little. My name is Mary Moran. I'm the founder of Girls2Women, a non-profit organization which works with girls, high school girls in Ethiopia. I am a faculty member at Columbia School of Nursing, and I work with the Columbia students to help this program grow. I first went to Africa during the 1984-85 Ethiopian famine. I worked with the International Rescue Committee at Wat Kauli camp, which was a huge, actually at the time it was the largest refugee camp in the history of UNHCR. And since then I had been back to work in Somalia, Rwanda during the genocide, Sudan and Kenya in '92. In 2009 my husband was working in Ethiopia, so I went to visit him while he was there, and he introduced me to Dr. Gebrab, the public health director of Tigray province, which is in the northern province of Ethiopia. I asked Dr. Gebrab if there was any project that he felt was not being addressed, and he indeed told me very quickly that he needs to keep girls in school. So he informed me that they were missing school because of menses, as many as 3 to 5 days a month. And as a consequence, they were falling behind in their studies and eventually dropping out of school. And I thought, well, that's one of the easiest projects I have ever been given to fix. So I came back, learned as much as I could about what women had used prior to the commercial pads, what the farming ladies in the South used, what German women, Norwegian women used. I made replicas of their patterns, took them to the students, the 2009-2010 Columbia students, and asked them if they would be willing to help with making those patterns and then trying them out and reporting their findings on them. So we tried out multiple prototypes of pads, and from that we chose a pad that we could introduce to Ethiopia for their approval. So we decided on a square pad made from pure cotton. It can be easily hand sewn, washes easily, dries quickly, and is very comfortable to use. So I would write to Dr. Gebrab and saying we're making a little progress. I would send him a prototype, and I got no response from Dr. Gebrab. The next spring, when I had a break from school, I had 10 days to spend. I just popped in one day to say hello, and he said, tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock you are going to teach 75 health extension workers. So we had to scramble to get the material. So in the hotel where I was staying, I was able to get some sheets and towels from them, and from the sheets and towels we cut out the pads to take to the health extension workers symposium in Wukro, in another city. When we came back, Gebrab had tea for us, and he sat down and he said, Mary, it's the first time out of the hundreds of people I've told about this is the first time that anybody has done anything about it. And since then, he has been a staunch supporter of the program. Through Dr. Gebrab, I was introduced to Dr. Zerihun, the dean of the university in Mekelle, who in turn introduced me to the midwifery professor Gabra Amlak in Mekelle. So Gabra Amlak is working with his midwifery students, and they do their rural rotation. So they're teaching the students in the far reaches, in the schools very far away from the city. So it just continues to grow. When we were going to the schools in Addis Ababa, we could not find any colored cotton material. So we were passing by, and there I saw MAA garments in Mekelle. I just said to the driver, let's go in. Well, you just can't go into a place like that. You need to have permission, and you need to get through security. Anyway, the security guard listened to our story. I simply explained what we were doing and that we needed material, told our story to the manager, and they were very, very gracious. They allowed us to buy the material right there and then. And from then on, they have supported us. The first school we went to, we were supposed to teach 10 students in each class. Well, the first class we went to, there were about 35 students and 10 or 12 teachers, plus the administrator. The girls were given the material, they were shown how to sew it, they were shown how to fold it, they were taught how to wash them and to hang them out in the sunshine so that they could dry and feel very fresh and new each time. At the end of the session, the administrator stood up in front of the class and he said that the girls had learned more in an hour than would help them for the rest of their lives. They were to pay attention to what they had learned and go out and teach other girls. In 2012, we went to Deborah Berhan and we taught 80 teachers. So that's 80 teachers covering a whole huge area, probably about 6,000 or 7,000 school children. They were taught how to make the sanitary pads, and by that time the Columbia students had come up with a design to make underwear as well. So we taught them how to make their own underwear. Now, underwear can be bought, but it's expensive and it's very, very flimsy. After a couple of washes, they just tears. By making the cotton underwear, it's sustainable. We also had a workshop in McKellar in 2012. Expected 40 people to attend the workshop, and 96 people showed up. And out of that training session, we developed a booklet called Growing Up. The booklet describes what girls expect as they're growing up, as teenagers, what to expect, how to make their pads, how to take care of themselves during their menses, how to deal with aches and pains that they may experience during menses, how to keep themselves clean. And it also covers other things like contraception, genital cutting, which is against the law in Ethiopia but still occurs in some rural areas. We talked about taking care of babies, girls taking care of themselves and aiming to have a profession for a while before they settle down to marry and have their children. The next step, and this again is based on a workshop we had in 2014 in Bahar Dar University. I met with 4 or 5 of the professors, all women of childbearing age. And one of them had queried, why can't we make baby diapers like that? Well, indeed, I bring the idea back to our Columbia students. I said, okay, guys, let's make some reusable baby diapers. Of course, we are using them here in the United States. Women in the villages cannot attend meetings because their babies, whom they carry on their backs, pee on their clothes, and their clothes are smelly. You know, people don't have 3 and 4 or 5 different dresses. So that's what I'm taking out this time to work on with the professors at the University of Bahar Dar. Since June of this year, of 2014, I have established a partnership with a local organization in Bahar Dar that works with women and children, orphan children and children in poverty. That organization has taken Girls2Women under its umbrellas, and what they've been doing since June is making the pads, selling some of the pads, making enough money to buy material to put back into the program. So ideally, moving forward in the next couple of years, I would like to see a couple of areas where we had established some sewers who would make the pads, sell them at a small profit, but enough to kind of get a salary for themselves and to buy material again, to keep the project going. That's eventually what I would like to see happening. One of the important things, I think, one of the most important ways of helping a community is finding out what the community needs. Sometimes we kind of walk into a community and say, oh, you need this, this, and this, when it may not be what the community needs at all. I think this is why Girls2Women has been successful, because it's something the schools, the girls and the families, the educators, recognized it as something that it's something that they themselves can continue to grow without any dependence from the outside. They're using their own materials that is made right there in their own country. Why should people donate? I think for very little money, really, we can empower an incredible amount of people. It's not giving. It's not a giving and making the people helpless. It's showing how. This is how it's done, and this is what you need for it. But once enough people know how, they in turn will continue to train others, and it will indeed become very much a sustainable, environmentally friendly, economical project to benefit all women and girls throughout the entire country.